this woman. She is one of the top 10 acting teachers anywhere, period. And okay, she was in the original cast of Grease. And I was blessed to act with her in the short film directed by Katie Kurtzman, The Pool Boy. The one, the only, Miss Joy Rinaldi.
Hello, David.
Hello, oh my God.
Yeah, a nice introduction. You know, it doesn't matter how many credits I have, it's the being in the original cast of Grease on Broadway that everybody relates to. It never gets old. It just never gets old.
Well,
thank you for that.
It's true. You know, there are other things in your credits that I want to list too. And before we do, I want to introduce, because we have guests today, which we're very excited to have. We have Bernard Smith, we have Natalie Oden, and we have Jacob Lintz, all wonderful actors and performers here today. So yes, so Grease, right?
Yep. Grease it is, yeah. And in fact, we just had a Grease virtual, because that's what we're going to be talking about, virtual Grease reunion of the original cast. Nice. And some of us hadn't seen each other in 30, 40 years. And do you know, I recorded it 3.5 hours just talking to each other.
Oh, how fun. I'm so glad.
In that company. And actually the first national was the same way. We have bonds that go back forever, and they will always be there. As long as we're around, we will be bonded. So yeah, it's like, you know, that's part of me. That's a big part of me. Even though it's history, it's still current. It's always current in me. Although I don't get cast as a greaser anymore.
Grease is the word, how fun. And the other thing, you know, there's so many things about you. I saw you were on one of my favorite TV shows, Soap.
Oh my God, you are so dating me. Well, if you know I was in the original cast of Grease, you can do the math. You can give all my old credits now, David, because the cat's out of the bag. Yeah, that was on Soap. I love comedy. That's my favorite thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, there's so many credits you have. And, I think we have one more wonderful actor joining us today. I'm hoping we have Miss Janetta Ward. Janetta Ward is coming in.
I'm putting it in here.
Ta-da!
Hello.
Hi, Janetta. How are you?
Good. How are you, David?
Oh, wonderful. Well, we have Janetta here, and
Yeah.
of course Bernard, Natalie, Jacob, and everyone. Of course, this is Joy Rinaldi.
Thank you.
So, tell me about the McCadden Place Theater. This is your theater. What made you decide?
Right. We have two 50-seat, very empty, unfortunately, little theaters. They became empty about March 15th, and they're still empty. They're 100% empty. But yes, my partner and I found the theaters in 1979. We are now the oldest. The McCadden Theater is now the oldest equity waiver theater in Hollywood.
Wow.
So if you think, it's over 40 years. So, wow. And we've done some incredible award-winning shows, and I didn't really want to do theater. I just moved out from New York, and I wanted to, you know, I'm going to do film and television. Yeah. And, you know, when I retire someday, like what I am now, but I'm not retired, I thought, well, do it in my old age. And he was like, no, we want the theater. And then I thought, you rent, like you do in New York, you rent everything. And he said, no, you have to buy it, because otherwise they'll turn it into a parking lot in 30 years when your lease is up. Which unfortunately has happened a lot. You know, we could not sustain the theaters if we did not own them.
Right.
We couldn't. I mean, so everybody is struggling. Everybody is struggling in their own way. So we're grateful and blessed that we have those two little theaters. And this is not forever. Everybody has to remember this is not forever. Yeah. So,
and I have to say that theater is, when I think of a theater in Hollywood, That's the first theater that comes to my mind. A smaller theater that is just whenever I can rent it out, whenever I can go see shows
Right,
there.
you have many times. Yeah, we have. I think the balcony makes a big difference. We have a working balcony, so you could do Romeo and Juliet, but not that you would. But there's so much. We've had musicals where they put the band up on the balcony. I mean, there's a lot of. The last show I produced and also did a lead in it was called the Lost Virginity Tour, and it's about 4 women of a certain age living in a retirement community, and it's just a laugh riot, fun show. 93 pages, and all 4 of us over a certain age had to memorize 93 pages because we're never off stage, never. So it was very good for my confidence in that I can do anything if I decide I'm going to do it. And they may be doing it as a tour, in which case I will do it again.
Oh, wow.
And an equity tour. It will be a union tour.
I like this.
Yeah, I haven't been out on the road. You don't want to know how long. And I haven't been in this would be a national tour. I haven't done that ever.
Wow.
Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about me. I want to talk about what's going on in the world and what we might do in it to make our lives better and then continue it after this coronavirus thing is over.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to just put the speaker view on you and yeah. Here we go, Joy Rinaldi. Okay.
Are you on me now?
I'm on you.
Because I don't know. I can't. I'm only seeing you. My whole thing's going to be to you, David.
Oh, okay. Do you only see me?
I only see you. Well, I see on the side. I see everybody else on the side.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to talk to you. You're such a dear friend. So that's not a problem. And you've done so much too. And I've seen a lot of your work. I mean, this is the friendships that go on for decades and decades. So anyway, what do we do about our passion, which for us, I'm talking about acting. I'm an acting coach. I'm still an actress. I produce. I also salsa dance. I'm not doing that. Those clubs are closed. Go to the gym. That's closed. But how do we keep our passion alive when we are sequestered and we can't do a lot of things? I am a very touchy-feely teacher. So I have people touching faces and holding hands and pushing each other. That's not there. So the way the teaching's going on now, I'm still teaching my class is called Close-Up Acting, closeupacting.com. And I concentrate on the intimacy about it, close-up acting. So the first thing I want to tell you is I'm going to talk a lot about how we work with this thing called a computer, or with how we're going to self-tape and all of that. And it's not going to go away. When this pandemic thing is over, we are still going to be doing this. Why? Because the casting directors and producers and directors have found out that if we actors do all the work for them, they don't have to rent a studio. They don't have to get somebody to run the camera. It's much, much easier for them. Much easier. So it's not going to go away. So my first piece of advice is you have to learn to love your computer, love it. You have to love your phones. You have to make them be your best buddy. And I'm going to tell you, that wasn't with me. That wasn't the way I was. This is the way I operated. If I had any tech problems, I teach at least half are young people, they're in their 20s. I just say, oh, could you help me with this? Could you help me with that? Well, guess what? They can't come to my house and hover over my shoulder and do it, or me hover over their shoulder. No. So I've learned, I know about this stuff about intimacy, which I'm going to talk about the practical part. I'm going to talk about that too. You have to learn it. I don't care how old you are. And a lot of things are easily bypassed just because you're not aware. I mean, so let me talk about it. So first thing is, television is about intimacy. So how do we continue with intimacy? So the first thing is, let's say there's two ways. One is Zoom. So let's talk about Zoom first. Let me see if I left anything out in that first part. Okay. So you have to make that other person that you're working with if it's a Zoom class, even more important. You have to absorb them even more. You have to work on the intimacy even more than you would have in the past. I wanted to, here's a good part about when you're auditioning, or even if you're taking a class, you're not necessarily, I am literally 8 inches from the screen. If I was doing a scene with David, I'm literally 8 inches. There's more intimacy here if I'm willing to embrace it than there is if I'm in a class and we're further away from each other. I can't embrace him, right? But I'm really close to him. It's just letting everything else, all the peripheral things go, just like you would if you were performing. Whether it's stage, film, or television, it's still that same thing. I want to read you something. So that's the advantage of Zoom, is that you are right there. I want to read this. So someone wrote this. This was way before the pandemic. So it's about commitment and personal space. But now I'm renaming that, and I'm calling it intimacy and your personal space. Okay. So and I use this in my class, but this is always apropos. So here we go. A meeting between you and another person, your acting partner, or in some cases, whoever's reading with you in the camera. A meeting between you and another person is a mutual discovery, which requires complete mutual commitment. Each of you must be willing to open up your personal space to the other for the duration of the scene, if you expect to enjoy a shared experience. So even though you may be reading with a casting director, we're going to get to that later, where you don't actually literally have a casting director. I'm going to show you how you can still have another actor. Okay, so you cannot force others to open up their spaces to you, but you can, I love this word. I didn't write this. This is someone who was writing about public speaking, Glenn Bennington, okay? You can invite them and make it easy for them to open up to what you are saying and feeling. So it's an invitation for people to come in your personal space. I think it's something like 18 inches. If you come closer than 18 inches, people say, hey, you're in my space. Here, you're inviting people into your personal space. You're saying, come closer. Yeah, closer, you, yes. Now, to open your personal space to others, you have to do 2 things. First, you need to become comfortable in the presence of others. And you do this by choosing, the word choose. You choose to feel the presence of another without being threatened. It's a choice. You make that choice. Second, you need to let your comfort expand to include the other. This establishes an intangible connection between you and your partner, one that you can continue to feel even at a distance. So that means even if you're filming and you're looking away, if you have really established that where you're really absorbing and letting the other person into your personal space, you will still have that feeling. And I'm saying now you have to do it with this box.
Yeah.
You know, so I can look at David and invite him into my space. Now, the way David's set up right now, I'm not looking at David, but if I was looking at David, I have that opportunity. It's a choice. It's a choice. And the more I think about letting David into my space, the more I let him into my space, the less I'm going to be thinking about myself. And that's the key, is not to be thinking about yourself, but thinking about the other person. If it's a scene, what do you want to do with the other person, or to the other person, or for the other person, whatever that is, okay? Oh, see, now in your own personal house, the phone sometimes rings, and I don't know how to turn it off. Well, I know I could probably take it off the hook, but it won't be forever, and it's probably just what do you call those calls? Robot calling me. Okay, it won't be forever, I promise. That's the first time that's ever happened. Okay.
It happens to you.
All right, so so the first thing I'm going to talk about the self-tape also. Everybody's going to different Zoom meetings. Lighting is different everywhere. I need you to see my eyes. I need you to see me. Now, I'm just going to do this and show you the difference. So I know I have to find light. I don't have a lighting guy.
Right.
I don't have a costume guy. this is an international good color. So is the one David, if you notice David's wearing blue. So if I go this way, it's not as good lighting. If I go this way, and the only thing I've done is there's windows over here. There's no windows over there. Find your light. Find your light. I'm not in my studio. I'm not, so I have a ring. Everybody should have a ring. Now for Zoom, you're not going to be using your ring, but you need to make sure, like if I'm teaching, I want you to see me. Okay? It's still, there's a certain intimacy. We were talking about this earlier. There's a certain intimacy just because people aren't in their, you know, cold, not that they're cold, but cold studios. They're actually with, I feel like, you know, you're in my house.
Yeah.
I'm in your house or your office or wherever you are. So that if you allow yourself and you look around and you say, oh, she's got a picture of trees, you know, looks like, and I'm like, she likes cats. And I mean, you start looking around, oh, she's got a curio closet. She's got a stained glass. You can allow it to be more personal just by being observant. The first thing they tell you as an actor.
And it's okay to allow the personal of you to come out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if I'm auditioning, I'm not doing it with this background. If I'm doing a Zoom audition, I have places in the house where it's a blank backdrop. And I'm going to talk about way more about that when we get to self-taping, where you're using your cell phone. But here, it's just because I just want to be seen. If you're doing something, I mean, like everybody here I can see pretty well, except Bernard, because he's in a dark. But if he moved around and saw where his light source is, he could just carry his laptop and put it, and then I would see his features and I would see more of him because I want to see the eyes. As an acting coach, that's what I want to look at. As an actor, I want to see the other person's eyes because they are the window to the soul. Okay? So that's where that one is. All right. So that's it. I want to talk about on the Zoom. And if you have other questions, here's another thing. I go to Zoom meetings not to do with acting, and I see either this, I know it's like, or I see this, and I see one like, they say if you're going to cut this way rather than the chin, but you really want it closer, and that would be true for this as well. But you want it so that I'm seeing most of your face and don't cut anything off. People get distracted by that, and I don't want people distracted. So they say, so that's about right. Okay. All right. So we did the lighting, the clothing. This is one of my favorite pieces of jewelry, but so I wanted something where I would feel good, do things. If I'm reading a part, then I'm going to do some kind of not a big costume thing, but something that kind of goes with whoever the person is that I'm representing when I'm auditioning. Okay. All right. Now let's go for the self-tape. That's where I think all the changes are going. I'm already doing that. I'm already self-taping. So let's do the first thing we started here that has to do with lighting and stuff. So I was doing like I do here, and it wasn't working for my self-tapes because I wasn't looking the way I wanted to look. So I went out and I bought, and most people know this, but if you don't, you need to go out and invest in a ring light. And a ring light is just a ring. And they have 6-inch ones, and they have 12, and they have 18. I suggest the 18 because then I can use it if I'm standing, if it's close or not close. If you get 6-inch, it's good for close-ups, but what if I need to do, what if in the audition they want to see your whole profile. They want to see what your whole body looks like. So I have more options if I do it. I chose, because I'm not computer savvy the way some people are, tech savvy rather. I got the ring where there's a thing in the middle and you just plop your little cell phone in it. And then there's all kinds of lighting things, and I've got different colored rings that go around. So I have options, and it's fun. You got to play with it and see what works for you. I thought, the amber light would look good on me. Well, it didn't. I have just the plain white light. The background is very important. If everybody's going to be doing self-tapes, yours just has to be the best. Let's say it goes without saying that you want to show your talent. So let's talk about the things. I'm going to assume you have talent. So let's talk about the other things we have control over. So the first thing is what you wear. So you have to know your colors. You have to know all of that stuff. Now let's talk about the backdrop. What I have right here would be terrible for an audition. Terrible. Yeah. But you can go to Michael's. I think there's Michael's fabric stores all over. Michael's, call Michael's, or just go to some, you can probably go to the 99-cent store these days and buy sheets. So you can get a sheet that's either like this color or gray or beige, and you get clothespins and you make it happen. You want a blank in back of you. You want it all one color, and you have same thing. I thought, oh, well, the best color for me would be a bright turquoise. Well, it turned out it wasn't the best color. So, because I wear bright colors, so I have something more subdued, but it needs to be one sheet. And the other thing is, sheets, you have a tendency to want to do this way, do it this way, because if they want a long shot of you, you're going to need space here so you can pull the camera out. Okay. All right. So I got that. Oh my God. My life changed. Now you might already know this, but my life changed when I bought a remote shutter. I hope everybody knows what that is, but a remote shutter means if I'm doing an audition, I don't have to go like this. I don't have to walk to here, turn this on, and then come into the shot. And then when I've done my beautiful acting job, now I have to go back out and touch the thing. The remote is the thing that makes it so I click it, it starts, I click it, it stops. I have so much more power over what I'm going to do. I don't click it until I'm ready. One of the advantages, I can do it as many times as I want, and I decide when I want to start. You know how sometimes if you're in an audition, where you're in a brick and mortars building, and they say, okay, we're ready, whenever you're ready, and you're not ready yet. I have as much time as I want. As much time as I want. They talk about the moment before. Take as much time as you want. These are some advantages you don't even think about, because all you think, oh God, I need people, real people, and I do. But this is what we're with. And so I'm seeing so much that the cup is half full, not half empty. I'm just like learning like a little banshee, because I can't get my students to do everything for me anymore. And I'm happy because I feel self-reliant now, much more than I did before. So let's talk about that shutter. Okay, so we did the black. So beige, gray, turquoise, we did that. Now here's the thing I just learned. If it's an audition, and let's say it's I love to share my own experience first, because then I can show you how you can bobble first and not do it right. So I had the scene. Most of the time it's scenes with another person. It's a scene with another person. So that other person has lines. Now, I've been told a lot of different ways to do it, but I'm going to tell you the way I did it first, and it was a good attempt, but it didn't really work. I was trying to get somebody to read with me. I couldn't find anybody. So I called somebody. This is the good part. I called somebody in New York. It was 9 at night, so it was midnight. I didn't realize they lived in New York. They sent me in the one line. I only need one line. They sent it to me. So I needed this. Remember, this is the one I'm doing my audition on. I borrowed somebody's, right. But I could have done it on an iPad, or I could even, there are ways that I could have done it without. This one I have to keep pure, because that's the one I'm doing my actual audition with. But here's the thing. What if I had more? So what happened is, I found a reason. I put it next to me, and after I say the first line, it's supposed to say the second. I just kind of meandered and had my head go down and pretended I was doing something, and hit the button. Well, the button, it start. So I ad-libbed. I said, "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" Because she must be a bitch. So it worked. And maybe it was a better take because I had to ad-lib. It got me really into being real. But you want it to be reliable. So this is the way to do it. And it's so simple. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. You need a friend. Yes, you need a friend. But we're all actors. We're social people. We will find someone. So someone, and you can even have, if you don't have one already, I call it an accountability buddy, or, you know, a buddy. You help each other out. So what you do is you send the scene to your buddy, and you either FaceTime them, or you can do with what we're doing here, Zoom. Now they're hearing you say your words. You are hearing them say their words. You're actually having a scene. Then you're not worried. I was worried about, you know, like I said, I'm not crazy about the tech part. I have to learn it. But once I realized that, I was like, oh my God, that's so simple. So simple. So if I'm doing a scene, I keep using it as an example, David, but if you and I were doing a scene together, I would send you your side. So we did a film together, and we'd say we're reading a scene from that. I'd send you your sides, and we would read. I would be doing this here, and I would have the computer stacked up with books on a chair. So I'm actually looking at you if I want to, and if I don't want to, and I just want to look right to the camera, I'm hearing you, the real David Zimmerman. I am hearing you at the right time, because you are hearing me say my lines as well.
Right.
If you have questions about that afterwards, or even now, David, if you have a question,
I do, and I'm gonna. The question that I had is with looking at the camera. I even do this on my interviews. When I'm looking, I love to really connect with somebody. So right now I'm looking at you.
Right.
But when the camera doesn't think I'm looking right at you that I know of. You know what I'm saying?
You have two choices. I mean, you can either do it as just like you do in you have one casting person reading with you, but you're talking to three different people. You look at three different places.
Right.
Close. I mean, this is my number one, is looking into the camera. Two, I'm just looking an inch away from where the camera is. It still looks like I'm looking someplace else. An inch on this side. That's all you need. You can still be close. I'm like you. I like to look at the person. That's why I said, because I saw someone do this. And that is, you have either a table, or remember, we're all in our homes. You get a table or a chair or something, you stack things up on, so that I can put this Zoom, or I can put this, if I want to put it, I can lean it against them so I can actually see them.
Right.
But sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth. I want to hear you, and I want to see you if it's possible.
Right.
Right? Because if you're doing, go ahead.
It is interesting, though, when you looked right at the camera, it was very powerful.
Yes, it is.
The thing about when you do it, especially when you just did it, it had power behind it.
So here, all right, so I'm putting my cell phone right above the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm looking at you, you'd be right on here. I'm pretty much looking in camera.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to find what works for you. Again, then you're going to be a little face. You know what I mean? And sometimes you might not be able to get someone who has well, I'm saying do it live. In other words, do it in the moment. I mean, a lot of people have suggested just have them tape it, but you know, if you're doing an audition, I'm not going to do it the same way twice. So maybe if you pre-taped it and sent it to me, it might not coordinate. I'd rather have it do it live. I would much prefer to do it live. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Ask me anything, because I'm really starting to get that, and I'm actually starting to groove on it. I'm actually starting to enjoy it now. Not in the beginning. I'm grooving. That's an old word, you young people. That means you're having fun. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, the other thing that, again, has to do with this new venue. For years and years and years that I've taught, I've always said, you know, have it pretty much memorized, but keep your script with you. In these little box auditions that we're doing, or even here, I'm saying memorize it really well. Memorize it. It's just too many extraneous things now. And, you know, when I'm teaching, I tell them to memorize, but if they put something in front of here, which is my paper, or here, I see they're constantly looking over here, and then it becomes about you trying to get the lines off the page and into the less distractions for not just you, the less distractions for the casting director who's going to be seeing this, the better. Same thing. So I'm saying memorize it really well. I mean, honestly, what else have you got to do these days? And it's just starting to come back where there are some auditions out there now.
Yeah.
So I'm saying memorize it. Memorize it. If I can memorize 93 pages at my age, you guys can memorize 4 pieces of paper and get your guest star billing. Okay.
Well, and it's so true what you say too about the memorizing it, because now that I'm hearing what you're saying, because if you haven't memorized and you're focusing at that camera right there, and that is the person you're talking to,
Yeah.
you can feel it. You don't have to worry about the lines, and you've got the power, and they see it in your eyes.
Absolutely. And my whole thing is to make it as intimate. I mean, the reason I ended up calling my acting classes close-up acting, because you get your Academy Award not from when somebody's chasing you with a gun. You get it when it's something intimate, whether it's happy or sad or some fear thing or anger or love. It's your close-up that's the most important part.
Well, that's why your classes are one of the best around, because you're so right there with that person.
I loved, you know what? I acted for decades, and I fell into teaching by accident, and it is a second passion. I love teaching as much as acting, and there's a different kind of a thrill when someone you're teaching is working. It's different. It's completely different. I don't know if you all know who Storm Reed is. I never take people under 13. She was 9. Storm Reed did A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, I know.
And with Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, I know who she is.
You know who she is? Yeah. So anyway, she was. I said, oh, I don't want to take somebody that young, and her manager said, Joy, just look at her. Just see if you'll think. I had her for years, and she's doing so well. But it's a thrill to see somebody you taught their names up in lights and stuff. Anything, even little things. I love it. I love it.